Madam Vice Chancellor. The examples below are instances of very significant breaking news that caught the media's attention, but whose failure to adhere to good journalism principles resulted in my categorization of them as casino journalism and stories leading to nowhere, which have appropriately named the end of history. Media coverage of these significant issues prioritizes sensationalism of personalities involved in the stories, as well as the magnitude of resources involved in the issues, perhaps to attract public attention. Reducing the coverage of important issues to the spectacle of spectators in a football match, held captive by the trappings of an entertaining football on the referee until the referee blows the final whistle. Game over. End of history. Move to the next stage. In the lack of attention to systemic failures that led to some of the scandals, media conflict inflicts us with collective amnesia and incomplete knowledge necessary to address systemic issues that enable the failings in the first place. And these are some of the examples of the stories that I examined. NNPC's non-remittance of funds. NNPC has faced persistent allegations of failing to remit billions of dollars to the government, particularly during the administrations of President Goodluck Jonathan and Muhammadu Buhari. Much of the media coverage surrounding the NNPC's non-remittance was sensationalized, misleading the public, and failing to provide accurate context or thorough investigation into the complexities of Nigeria's oil sector. Again, lack of attention to systemic failures that enable the scandal to happen in the first place. Madam Vice Chancellor, game over. End of history. We move on. Abacha Route refers to the massive embezzlement of public funds by General Sani Abacha, Nigeria's military ruler, from 1993 to 1998, estimated between $5 billion and $10 billion. The funds were hidden in foreign bank accounts and largely unreported by the Nigerian media. Key failures again in the media coverage of the Abacha Route include a lack of investigative rigor, sensationalism, and political bias. The absence of investigative journalism during Abacha's story left many critical questions unanswered. How does that get to this point? Again, Madam Vice Chancellor, lack of attention to systemic failures that enable this. That enable this scandal to take place. Game over. End of history. We move on. Dasuki Arms Scandal, also known as Dasuki Gate, is one of the most significant corruption cases in Nigeria's history. The scandal erupted in 2015 when the then National Security Advisor was accused of misappropriating over $2 billion from the Nigerian government. Headlines such as Dasuki stole 2.1 billion meant for arms, or arms deal scandal, Jonathan's NSA pocketed billions, have been used by various outlets to capture the attention. In this case, again, the failure to contextualize the issue, provide investigative reporting, and seek expert analysis has perpetuated misinformation and prevented a meaningful public discourse about the broader systemic issues that enable this scandal to take place. Again, lack of attention to systemic failures that enable the scandal in the first place. Game over. End of history. We move on. The P&ID scandal, spanning from 2010 to 2019, is one of the most significant and controversial cases of alleged corruption, fraud, and mismanagement in Nigeria's history. Again, most media outlets relied on official government statements and speculations. The focus remained on accusations with little attention given to examine the legitimacy of the contract in the first place, the financial dealings involved, or the role of international actors. Again, lack of attention to systemic failures that enable the scandal in the first place. Game over. End of history. We move on. The Niger Delta Development Commission I'm very sure we are all familiar with this particular case. At the center of the scandal were allegations of financial mismanagement, inflated contracts, and misappropriation of funds meant for the development of the Niger Delta region. But, Madam Vice Chancellor, when the head of NDDC was invited by the panel of the House of Representatives to explain what has happened, you know what happened. And the man slumped. And once the man slumped, end of history.
We are called to uphold journalism that educates, informs, and elevates society. Journalism that remains steadfast in truth, equity, and justice. Let us therefore heed Professor Ibraheem's call to protect and promote a free, responsible, and resilient media system, for in doing so, we safeguard the future of our democratic ideals, and we support the growth of a fledgling Nigeria. Professor Ibraheem Adegboyega, now that you have successfully paid your academic debt to the University of Lagos, with today's excellent inaugural lecture, with immense contribution on improving our world, on behalf of the Senate, you are hereby discharged and acquitted.